Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So today is going to be our November wrap-up. We're going to talk about our top 5 books each, so our top 10 books for the month of November. What?
I can't even believe it's time for a November wrap-up. Like, it's just crazy.
I know, you were looking at me funny, and I'm like, did I say that wrong? Are we not ending November? What month is it? But it is December now. So
Yes.
Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And Mandy, tell them why.
Because we are getting really close to giving away Beth Flynn's 9 minutes. This is what?
We're so close.
Oh. It is a signed copy. We have a few other goodies to throw in with this, so you definitely don't want to miss out. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
Mm-hmm. And we have lots of fun things planned between $7.50 and $1,000. You're going to want to make sure that you're here for that. And
Yes.
just so you guys know, if you haven't been here and haven't seen this, that book will be on our top list of 2023. And it will probably
definitely will be
one of the, within the top 3, if not the top 1. So just
that's starting to give me anxiety to try and figure out which book is going to be my top one. That's going to take some think time.
I have a list, and I'm going to have to narrow it down, and I'm already scared.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about November. So tell me your November stats.
32 books.
Okay. And
5 stars.
That's what I had.
And it was hard to figure out which book wasn't going to make it.
Yep. I had 37 books and 6 5 stars. And yeah. When you think it would be easier when you have less, but it's not. No. So let's talk about our 5 stars. And then we're going to talk about our VIP author for the month, because I have a feeling that there's going to be one author that's going to take the cake this month.
Okay.
Are
we starting with book 5?
We start with book 5 and we go to book 1.
Are you ready, Jessica?
Oh, I'm starting first.
You always go first, usually.
Why do I always have to go first? You know?
The people demand it.
Oh, do they? Okay, sure. All right. So the people being Mandy. So my number 5 book for the month of November is Finn by BJ Alpha. So this is a story of Angel and Finn. This is the 3rd book in her Secrets and Lies series. This is a mafia series. So Angel and Finn were together when they were young. And then Finn goes off. He joins the military and he goes off. And then before he comes home, Angel's missing. She's gone. She runs off and takes off. Well, Finn gets a phone call. This is a handful of years later, like 9 years later. Finn gets a phone call. He's never been able to find her. And it's from a hospital in one of the neighboring cities or state or whatever. And it says that this girl, Chelsea, has been in an accident and he is her next of kin. And at first he thinks it's a prank call or like a mistake. And so he hangs up on the people, but they keep calling back. So he takes the call, he goes to the hospital, and instead of this girl, Chelsea, he finds his Angel laying in this bed. And she looks very different at this point in time because she's gotten tattoos and she's got some piercings and her hair is a different color. And he finds out that his Angel is on the run from something. And so this is their story. I loved it so much. I mean, this is the book that I was waiting for. This book really picks up on that breeding kink that we talk about that BJ is so amazingly well known for. So she has an 8-year-old daughter, and definitely check trigger warnings for these books, but so very good. So that was my number 5.
Okay. My number 5 is Daddy's Addiction by BJ Alpha. Oh, my voice is doing something weird. Okay, so this is a shorter book. This is part of her Mafia Daddies series, but they can be read as standalones. So in Daddy's Addiction, we have Tommy and we have Jade. Tommy has spiraled, and by spiraled, I mean like he's really spiraled. He's like doing lines of coke off of paid women's like boobs and, all sorts of stuff like that. And he has women that he pays to come to his home. Okay. Like he is just really spiraled. And Jade is his stepdaughter. He was forced into an arranged marriage, and the wife has passed away. I don't even think we even know what her name is. Like, she is not really a part of this at all. She has passed away, and her daughter has been at boarding school this whole time, and he has never even met her. And Jade comes home, and she's going to be staying with Tommy, and she shows up. And Tommy's like, wow, they really outdid themselves with who they sent me this time. She's in a schoolgirl dress and everything, like, woohoo. And so she gets in the house and he has her pinned to the wall and he's like ready to go when the butler's like, excuse me, sir, this is not who you think it is. And from there, the book just continues. It's a wild ride. There is definitely some really crazy scenes that I'd never read stuff before. Some things happen that still haunt me to this day over the fact that some people needed to purchase a new mattress. But I was here for it. I loved it, and I am looking forward to reading more
of Becky's books. Yeah, I'm actually going through all the books that I have from her right now, and I'm loving them, and they just get better and better and better as you go. She started writing in 2020, I believe, and they're so good. She's just getting so good. So yes, love it. Okay, so my next book was another Mafia book, and this was another one that we picked up when we were in Vegas. So this is Irish by Brittany Nicole. And this is about Frank and Eleanor, or Ellie. And so Eleanor is a part of the Italian mafia, and Frank is a part of the Irish mafia. And when they're young, they spend a lot of time together. She's in love with him. She's always been in love with him. He's a little bit older than her. But when they grow up, he ends up leaving. She doesn't understand why. There's a lot of hurt feelings as to why he goes away and what happens there. And then she ends up being promised to the head of the Irish mafia, or no, the Italian mafia. And so she ends up marrying the head of the guy, the head. And he is an absolute asshole. And he abuses her. And he is not kind to her. He holds her kid sister over her head and, says, if you don't do whatever, I'm going to force her to marry this nasty guy that I have that works for me. And so she has no choice but to keep doing what this guy asks her to do. And the things that he's asking her to do might rhyme with Schmeriel Schiller, because he has her take out opponents for him. So this is a female unaliver situation. And so she hates herself for that. But he's also beating her. He's abusing her and holding her kids and her sister over her head. And so she gets a call Monday, and it's from this lawyer who says that she had a relative who died, who left her a house that's on an island outside of Maine. And so in the middle of the night, she loads up her car and her kids and her sister, and she takes them and she goes to this island in Maine. She runs from the husband. And when she gets there, Frank is there, and she has believed him to be dead for the last 10 years because of something that happened. And so she is shocked, and she is just mortified just shocked that he's there, and she doesn't want him to find out about her past and what she's done. But yet the feelings are still there. So this is very much their relationship more than it is mafia, but it was so very good. So definitely go read it.
So my fourth top read of the month is called Vanquish by Pam Godwin. And this is about Van. And Van is in our first book. And in that first book, you're supposed to hate Van. But yet Pam Godwin has this way of writing where you're like, oh, I kind of feel something for him, but no, I hate him. He's a horrible person. But you're like, oh, but maybe he's just hurting underneath all of that. And so in this book, she grips us in there again with that. And we see Van, who's spying on Liv, who has his daughter. And that's all he wants, is he just wants to get to know his daughter. And oh, that hurts. That hurts my heart for him. So while Van is creeping around at the house next door who he thinks like no one lives there because it's empty. Nobody's ever there. Nobody's coming and going except for this one guy who comes once a week. So he thinks that guy's just growing weed in there. And so nobody ever bothers him. And all of a sudden, one night when he's there spying next door, out comes Amber, who is having some sort of like a panic attack. He doesn't really know what's going on because Amber is actually an agoraphobe and she's afraid to leave her home, but she has to make some shipments and things because she needs money. So she's trying to get to her mailbox and she kind of loses it. And so that's how she meets Van. And Van, once again, just really, really wants to meet his daughter. And so somehow he decides if he can take Amber and get her to no longer be an agoraphobe and leave her home willingly, then Liv will see what a great dad he can be and let him have access to his daughter. If you're thinking about that, you can see why this plan is flawed in so many ways. It's definitely dark, but oh, did I have some feels in this book.
Yeah, I loved it. I love I mean, I've never read anything by Pam Godwin that I haven't loved. So, and the way she can take a character that you hate in the first book and make him the hero that you are rooting for in the second book, like that is some.
Even while he's still being pretty shady.
Well, he's still doing shady crap. I mean, let's be honest. So, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. She'll make you question those morals you have. Okay, so my third book for the month, nobody's going to be surprised by this author, is Oscar by BJ Alpha. So Oscar's on the spectrum. We know that from previous books. He hides behind his tablet and he's just a little bit different. And we definitely know he's neurodivergent. And why is that showing up now? So Oscar always uses call girls. That's his thing. He will only have relationships with call girls. He actually owns an escort service. Paige is desperate for money and she finds out about this. She gets brought into the service and this is her first night and she is sent to Oscar's house. And she has a brother who's been on the spectrum. And so she can see that there's something different about Oscar. She sees Oscar for the first time. Like she's the first person who can really see through all these walls that he's put up and all these things that he does so that he doesn't get seen. And so this is their story. It's far more focused on their relationship than it is on the mafia relationship or the mafia situation, where the other books focus more on the mafia. We do have mafia elements in it. We just don't see as much of it in this book because it's their relationship, which I love their relationship. It is so good. I love seeing Oscar get his happily ever after. And I loved seeing him as a character and how he dealt with the differences that he has compared to his brothers and their relationships. So what do you have for your third book of the month?
Okay, for my third book of the month, I have Rush by Emma Scott. This is about Charlotte and Noah. So Noah was in extreme sports, like really dangerous extreme sports. And he worked for this magazine and he traveled all over the world doing extreme sports and writing about it and taking photographs. And he is in an accident doing one of those activities and loses his sight. So he is now blind and he does not handle it well. And he shuts out everyone from his life and basically just stays in one room and refuses to interact with anybody from his life at all. Shuts out his parents, everyone. And there's one man who takes care of him and sees to some of his needs and things like that. And he is trying to hire Noah a personal assistant. And Charlotte is a Juilliard trained violinist who has lost her inspiration. She had some tragedy happen and she just cannot feel the music anymore. She just doesn't want to play and it's really bothering her. She lives in a cramped apartment that she shares with a bunch of other people. She's barely able to make rent. And so practicing the violin just isn't something that she's able to do. And so she's just kind of floundering a little bit. And she's given this offer to go work as his assistant and she would get to stay there. And so she's like, finally, I could practice my music again and maybe, really start to turn some things around for myself. And so she takes the job, but Noah does not want an assistant. He does not want, like, he just kind of wants to live in this like self-loathing, hateful spiral that he's in. And so it, this is like her trying to get him out of that and trying to find herself again as well. So it's so good. So good.
Yes, on my TBR. So maybe it'll be
Yes.
one of my top reads for December. Who knows?
Maybe.
We'll see. Okay, so then my next book was Little Stranger by Lee Rivers. This is very dark, definitely check triggers for this one, but this one is about Malachi and Olivia. So when they were young, Olivia was adopted by her parents when she was like 4-ish, and then now we see her at the age of 6, and they are adopting another child, and that is Malachi. He is a year older than her, but when they get to the airport to pick him up and the parents are signing paperwork, Olivia notices that he's not speaking. She's asking him questions, but he's not talking to her, but he's moving his hands in a funny way that she doesn't quite understand what's going on. Well, he's been through so much with his birth parents that he's had so much trauma that he is selectively mute. He never lost the ability to speak. He just chooses not to. So she's asking him questions, and instead of him answering, he's doing the sign for mine. He claims Olivia from day one. And then as they're a little older, like they're playing board games and stuff, and when she gets excited, he'll give her a kiss, but it's not like a kiss on the cheek. He kisses her on the mouth. And the parents realize that there's something going on here as these kids are getting older. He is unhealthily, if that's a word, he has an unhealthy attachment to her. And so the parents try to separate, but it doesn't happen. And then as they become teenagers, things progress even further. And that's as far as I'm going to go there. It's definitely taboo. They're not blood related, but it is siblings. But it's very good. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So what's your number 2?
Top
or 3? Is your
top,
2? This is number 2.
My number 2. My number 2 read of the month of November was The Pucking Wrong Guy by Sierra Jane. So this is about Ari and Blake. This is hockey. This is dark. We do see a lot of hockey here. So that is always fun to have like a hockey romance with like on-page hockey. So again, this is dark. Ari, oh, Ari, I was here for this. I know it's not always people's cup of tea when you have like such an obsessive, possessive hero, but oh, I loved Ari. And honestly, Ari is just trying to make everything better for Blake. But anyway, so Ari and Blake have both had some pretty, like, their upbringing is kind of crappy. And we learn a lot about that throughout the book. They actually know each other, and Ari sees Blake on a billboard when he's driving, and he takes drastic measures to get himself into her circle. And once he does, he goes for it. And if you remember Lincoln from the first book, The Pucking Wrong Number, you know, the stuff that Lincoln does. Well, Ari makes Lincoln look pretty on the up and up with some of the stuff that he is doing. So this is all about him trying to basically win over Blake and get her to see that he is the man for her. And Blake is struggling with a lot of things. She's had a really crappy upbringing. She has moved clear across the country to try and get away from her very controlling parents, who are much more concerned with like their appearance in the country club than really with Blake's true happiness. And so, and they're mean to her. And so Blake has some issues. So definitely check triggers, because there's a lot of things going on. So if that's something you need to do, check those triggers, because there's a lot happening in here with some mental health and things like that. But oh, it is so good. So if you are into dark, obsessive hockey heroes, read this book. You will love it.
Okay, so that is definitely on my TBR to read. I was kind of waiting for the audio, but I don't think the audio comes out for that until February.
I don't know. You should read it. It's really good.
I know. I was waiting for that. I listened to the audio the first time around. So she has great narrators for her audio. So just saying when she does it. Okay. Ready for my number 1 read?
Yes.
All right. So I think it's safe to say that BJ Alpha is the VIP for this month because her book is my number one book, and that is Bren by BJ Alpha. This is the one that I told you guys made me pregnant. I don't even have a uterus. Okay, but this book made me pregnant. So this is the story of Bren and Sky. So Bren is the head of the mafia. We've seen, this is the fourth book in the Secrets and Lies series, and we've seen all these brothers, that run this mafia syndicate, and Bren is the head of them. He's the oldest brother, and he's this big, surly, grumpy guy. And they get a call one night. All the brothers are hanging out, playing poker or whatever, and they get a call that at their warehouse, there's a crate that has the weight is over, and the over the limit is much what a woman would weigh or a human would weigh that's in this crate. And so they all rush down there. They've known from previous books, we know that they've known that there has been some human trafficking going on that they've been fighting against. And so they get there, and there's this girl who is shackled and in this crate, and she's naked and she's scared and she's emaciated and she's dirty and we know, or not emaciated, but she's dirty and she's been in there for a while. And so he takes her and he brings her home, and he decides he's going to keep her because that's how these boys roll. Sky, that's not her name. That's the name that Bren gives her because she was raised in a compound where her name was like red something. Like it has to do with the building that she was in and the color of the group that she belongs to. So she doesn't even have an actual name that she remembers. She was stolen as a child and sent to this group. And they've trained her to be sold. And so she's trained to please her buyer. And that is what she's expected. So she thinks she's 21, and she's pretty sure she's 21, but this is all she's known. And so this is their story. It was, Bren is the best damn dirty talker I have ever met in a book. And I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. When I was like, I think I'm pregnant, it was that good. So there you go. That's my number one for the month of November. Thank you, BJ, for all the all the good books this month.
All right.
I know what your number one's going to be, too.
Well, I don't know how everybody would know what my number one's going to be, but all right.
Okay.
So
tell us
my
about
number, what?
So tell us about it.
I'm going to.
Okay.
So my number one book of the month of November, definitely going to be in my top 10 of the year, is The Lovely Return by Carrie Ann Cole. This is perfection. I loved it. I've been waiting a couple of years for this book to finally come out. So when it did, I had to jump on it right then. And this book gripped me from the prologue. And I literally was up extremely late turning those pages. Loved it so much. So I do not want to give any spoilers away because this is kind of a different book. And so I'm just going to kind of tell you some highlights. So this is about Penny and Alex. Penny starts showing up at Alex's house when she's about 6. And she just feels this connection and is drawn to going to him. And somehow he kind of feels this weird connection to her too. And so they sort of form this friendship, kind of as almost as outcasts a little bit. And this is age gap. It is slow burn. It is reincarnation, and it is definitely forbidden love. I do want to say that nothing happens inappropriately or anything like that. I know that sometimes when you hear like, oh, she's 6, it is not like that. This is like a soul finding friendship that starts, that does not change until much, much later. But it is just so fabulous. It's written so well. And it is really hard to find good age gap that doesn't just feel like watered down age gap romances from some of the best ones. Like you have like these best books, right? And then you have like other authors trying to recreate that. And it just always feels a little watered down from that. Like there's just some books that you just can't compete with. And this book just jumps right up there with my top favorite age gaps because it is so different from any age gap I've read, but it is captivating. It has all the feels, and it is just amazing. And what an interesting twist to a romance with reincarnation. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but I loved it.
See, that's the only thing that has me hesitating is the whole reincarnation bit, just because I'm kind of like, yeah, it's not really my thing. But it's scary and cool, and I think I still need to read it.
Don't
So
hesitate.
yeah,
Just do
all
it.
right, all right,
I
guys.
know. When I saw that, I was like, oh, really? That's what her new book's going to be about? I don't know if I'll like that.
Yeah,
But I wanted to read it so badly. And yeah, it's not how I like my hesitations with reading reincarnation were like I didn't need to have any. All right. So those are our top reads for November. What was your top read of the month? Tell us in the comments below. And then make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. And then every Wednesday through the rest of 2023 for Romance School 101.
thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.